Just transfer over here so I can keep an eye on the comments.
Let me send the old Zelda. Save right post to a page. Talking Sith. Publish it. Talking Sith shared your post.
Sweet. I just figured out today, and I was bummed that I didn't, because I completely just messed up my time frame, my timing today, and I was meant to have dinner done way earlier than I had it done, and I didn't start it until like 5, and I should have started at like 3, because it was like one of those types of dinners where it took me way too long to make it. So I meant to get done earlier than I did, because I figured out how to broadcast simultaneously to like a couple different like things at the same time using like the software app. I was like super excited because I had everything like all set, but I just didn't have time to get it set up because Amber literally was like, "Don't you have Talking Sith?" And that was like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
so
but
like,
your internet's garbage. Would that work?
Well, I was hoping that because it was all streaming through one key stream, like using like the site, that it would hopefully improve things. Actually,
what? No, that would make it so much worse. That would take up so much more bandwidth.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. So we'll see.
Although I was going to say, you should do a connection speed test at some point, because I guess Comcast in our areas upped their speeds recently.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you should run a speed test at some point.
Yeah, I should. You know, I'm supposed to be getting. I still haven't gone to do it. Like, I guess I have to go to a like actual like Comcast center, but they owe me like new equipment. Like my equipment's like I guess like a couple of years outdated, which is why my internet's moving so slow. So they were saying like, oh, we owe you new equipment, but I have not had the time to like. I guess the nearest one is in Groton, they said.
Yeah, it's in the Big Y Plaza.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the next time, and I never.
Or not Big Y. I don't know why I just said that. It's in the Kohl's Plaza. I don't know why I said Big Y. That was totally wrong.
I was gonna say I'm not sure what the Big Y is in Groton.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to go check it out because I was like I don't know. Oh, the Kohl's Plaza. So where like isn't there like a Kentucky Fried Chicken over there?
Yeah, it's behind that. It's like Panera and Kohl's, and there's a pizza place in Packy and stuff.
Yeah, I gotta go check. When I get a chance, I'll have to go check it out because I have not. I haven't had a time to go over there, but it'd be beneficial because I would like my internet to be like the speed I pay for. That would be preferable.
Yeah, I feel you.
All right, so I had something that I did want to talk about, but I completely am spacing, and it's gonna take me a second to find what I had put down because I like saved a note somewhere on my phone. It was like a picture or something, but I cannot remember the life of me. What
we have? Last Jedi came out digital. So you can you can buy that with all the special features. It's got all 14 deleted scenes. It's got a bunch of like, you know, reels and features and featurettes and stuff.
I wonder if it's available on PlayStation because I will
probably
buy that.
I mean, I'm not gonna pick it up digitally because I have the Blu-ray Steelbook casing pre-ordered from Best Buy, and I can't buy it twice. But I am itching to watch it. So. But the Blu-ray doesn't come out for 2 weeks. It comes out 2 weeks from yesterday, so the 27th. But that came out, and then I guess one of the features they posted online. I think I shared it to Talking Sith on Facebook. But one of the features is Mark Hamill seeing Frank Oz for the first time on set, and they're all like super happy to see each other and emotional and hugging and stuff.
You reminded me when you said
that was really cool.
When you said Mark Hamill.
Oh, was it his Walk of Fame star? Because that's really cool too.
Yes, that's what that was what I initially had wanted to talk about. That and some of the deleted scene stuff that's been going around because there's been a lot of cool stuff. Oh, it is available on PlayStation. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely buying it. Yeah, so oh my God, I'm gonna watch The Last Jedi tonight. I'm so excited. Yeah, so it's. There was the walk of oh my God, why did I say the walk of shame? I almost wanted to say the walk of shame. I don't know why I said that.
Casting couch.
Yeah. That was a fun moment.
That was maybe the funniest thing that's ever happened in my life.
Oh, what a Freudian slip that was! Oh my god,
so funny. Oh man.
But yeah, the Walk of Fame in Hollywood. Finally, Mark Hamill like got his star, which is really awesome.
He had Lucas there, R2-D2, Harrison Ford, and then Harrison Ford said something really.
I was surprised to see Harrison Ford there.
I don't know. They're buddies, man. I mean, he's not like a Star Wars fan, but they love each other. But
yeah, that's true.
Harrison Ford said something like really poignant about Carrie Fisher not being there. He said like, "I'm really glad that we're here, but you can definitely feel like the third member of our trio is missing, and I can feel her presence," or something like that. And I was like,
yeah, it was really like, I watched because he gave a little kind of speech there, and it was really like it was really great, and he really talked about Mark Hamill and how great he was, and just how happy he was to be a part of everything. But really the point that stuck out the most was him talking about Carrie Fisher. Like that really like stuck with everyone, and that was like the headline for the day. Even though Mark Hamill got into got his star, everything I kept reading was about Harrison Ford and this speech he had given about Carrie Fisher and how like really great it was. And I think part of it comes from the fact that Harrison Ford is pretty what's the word, not necessarily stark. He's just very to the point most of the time. Like when you see him
he's a pretty terse guy.
Yeah, he's very glib. He gives a very straight answers. He's not like really like whatever. So it was interesting to see him kind of like open up about his relationship, or just like his friends. Not that he hasn't opened up about his relationship and friendship with Carrie Fisher before. It just like I wasn't really 100% expecting to see him at. I mean, I guess I don't know why I wasn't expecting to see him, but when I saw him there, I was like, "Oh, he showed up." But like you said, I always forget that they're like really good buddies because he isn't as into Star Wars as Mark Hamill is.
I just think that like if you know Mark Hamill, I think it's like impossible not to be buddies with him. It seems like
that's
he's
true.
just like the nicest dude alive. He's really happy. And...
Plus you look back at pictures of them together on set.
Yeah, they're always messing around.
Buddies.
Yeah,
they're always goofing off. Like there's tons of pictures of them even offset of like at just chilling at like a hotel or doing this, like going to, and they're always like seem like they're having a great time. Yeah. And I think, like you said, it's just because, and I really think this is very
usually
true
the
for
three of them,
trio.
so you really can feel like the void of missing any one of the three. But I really do think any two of them, if Mark had passed instead of Carrie or Harrison, I think that it would be the same no matter what, that any two of them isn't the same as all three of them.
Yeah, I agree. And, like, I think that, like, you realize how, like, I feel like when the three of them are together, or when they would be together, each of them on their own, like when I see Mark Hamill doing his thing, and Carrie Fisher when she would put her Instagram pictures up with their dog, and they're a part of Star Wars, they're part of that's Luke, that's Leia, that's Han, and it's great to see them in their thing, and they always Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill more than Harrison Ford, but they would always be like kind of playing off that fandom and, really appreciating the fact that people know them from this universe.
Right,
but when they're together, it would be like Luke, Leia, and Han. Like there was there was no other part to them. It was just that trio again, and it was and it was always just such a great reminder of like what made. And we said this last week too, but like just the relationships within Star Wars are what makes Star Wars such a good.
Yeah, well, that's what makes it last.
Anyway.
Like, it would be cool on its own without that, but the reason it has staying power and, it's timeless and cross-generational is because of the people.
And there's never been a better trio than those three in Star Wars.
Absolutely.
And obviously we've had, like, in the prequels, whenever you see the posters or anything like that, you see, Padme, Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obviously, that's nowhere near the relationship and the chemistry between them was nothing, not even close to what it was between the original three. And then the only thing I would say that got even near close to it was just the relationship between Han, Rey, and Finn. where those three, as they were kind of traveling together, kind of had an interesting relationship. Obviously, Han wasn't really as much a part of that as, Rey and Finn, but, like, when those three were traveling together in The Force Awakens, that was really interesting dynamic to watch, but really... Rey and Finn, their relationship is really the closest we've seen. It's kind of unfortunate that they didn't see each other as much in The Last Jedi.
I was going to say, it's kind of weird because you went into it thinking that Poe and Finn and Rey were going to be this new trio. And they haven't been together ever, like at all. So it's really... I was going to say,
I don't think Poe and Rey have ever even met in all, like, that we've seen.
Right. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, it's really, it's just different. And I think it's even more of a stark realization because we just, imagine that that's how it would be. And it's not what ended up happening.
I wonder if, like, and I mean, obviously it's hard to know, but, like, I wonder if there's any way I can remember this question and think to myself to ask my kids years from now. Like, when they see Rey, or, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, and, if they, like, think of them in the way, if I can describe to them well enough.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Of them in the way that because I just can't imagine that because, I mean, obviously Rey, to me, might be the closest. Finn as well from The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi Finn, I get so disappointed because I just feel like he was kind of screwed story-wise. But, like... Rey more than Finn, but I still don't think, like, when I see Rey, I don't think to myself, like, I'll have that same, like, when I see pictures of Carrie Fisher, or when I see, like, footage reels of Carrie Fisher, like, I freak out. Like, it's hard not to, like, lose my mind.
No,
I don't know if my daughter
think that
or
we
Finn
won't
will feel
because
that way about Daisy Ridley.
The problem with that is that Carrie and Mark Hamill, Star Wars is kind of their definitive role in terms of on screen. Like, Mark Hamill has a lot of voice work where obviously you would recognize him as, like, the Joker or whatever, but but Harrison Ford, like, you don't see a picture of Harrison Ford and then think Han Solo unless he's I mean, you do, but not, like, only Han Solo.
That's true. That's true. Depending on where, because somebody might
Indiana
think
Jones
Indy just as quick as,
or Blade Runner or whatever. So it's totally different for him. And that's why I don't think John Boyega or Daisy Ridley will have that same effect, because they both have, lots of credits that aren't Star Wars related. And they're only going to get more because movies are different now.
Yeah, that's
true. Back in the day, movies were just like...
I didn't think about that. And just their careers. Like, you're right. Their careers were so different. So, like you said, like, Harrison Ford, you can recognize him, like, if you're really into, like, Blade Runner, which some people really, really are, which makes sense. It's a great film. Yeah, it's a great movie. Then you might not even see him as... Han Solo.
Right.
You might see him as Deckard, or if you're into, indie movies, which again, I'm really into the indie movies. Yeah, exactly. Like, you might not see him as.
Yeah, he's got so many definitive roles that it's.
Because he's the greatest actor of all time.
Right. It's a different, expectation for him. Yeah. Whereas with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, it's different.
What's its name? Oh God, what's the name of the movie that you turned me on to? I don't remember.
Fanboys?
Of the time. Fanboys, yeah, that's one of my favorite. Harrison Ford's the greatest actor of all time.
Yeah, he's never made a bad movie. Yeah.
And then as they pass,
6 Days and 7 Nights.
6 Days and 7 Nights. Yeah. That was so funny. I was like, oh God, that's great. But
it is funny. But I think that with him, like, if you see him wearing Han Solo stuff, you're like, oh, sweet Han Solo. But, like, with the other two, even if you see him in something else, like you see Carrie Fisher in, like, When Harry Met Sally or something like that, you're like, oh, cool, Princess Leia's in this. Whereas Harrison Ford was just in so much so quickly that you don't get that same feeling.
Yeah,
so
and I think
that Daisy Ridley and John Boyega will be in so much so quickly. And some of it's going to be, like, really big blockbuster stuff. Like, John Boyega's in the new Pacific Rim. One of them's going to get a franchise that's
yet,
like...
I heard Detroit was really good.
Yeah, one of them will get something that is you know, their indie, so that they'll be just as recognizable for that as they are for Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, I know
Especially
Daisy
with how many
Ridley's,
Star Wars movies are coming out. They're not going to be in any of the other ones. It's just 3. There's going to be more Star Wars movies 10 years from now that don't have John Boyega and Daisy Ridley than do.
Yeah.
So
which
it's
is
a different
why I'm
thing.
wondering, like, yeah, that's true. Like, but like you said, like, we only had, so what, like, oh, well, I wanted to say 4, but now it's been 5 movies with, like, Leia in it and stuff like that. And she's, like you said, like, I think it's just the difference in, and we've said this before, but it's just the difference in, when, like, how Star Wars is being treated now, as far as how frequently the movies come out, and not just that, but like how the content itself is being handled by Disney, and you know, it's very much, you know, it's very much following, and you know, I know we always compare it to Marvel, which is funny because everyone immediately wants to like compare anything that starts to become like this, you know, that's whatever owned by Disney, compare it to Marvel. But I think that's just because we are so far away from the Western. And if you don't like know cinema history too well, then I guess you don't think about it. But I'm like, Marvel wasn't like, they didn't come up with some brilliant like scheme to like make money or something like that.
No, it's just Disney, a huge interwoven universe. Like there's nothing else like that. I mean, even
that's really as far
Westerns
as that's about as unique as it gets. Yeah,
right.
That's
but Star Wars and Marvel and Harry Potter, those are like the only 3 franchises I can think of that will successfully have done that sort of thing. I mean, Lord of the Rings to an extent, but I mean, not well,
Lord of the
and
Rings,
also with an expiration date. So it's that I think that's the comparison to Marvel more than it is like epic movies. I think it's the connected universe of more than one movie, and obviously DC does it too, but not.
Yeah, and I guess
like Marvel.
As far as like DC does it terribly though, and you know what, DC, it's not even that DC does it terribly; it's that DC jumped in just way too late. Like by the time they wanted to start tying in their storylines together, Marvel was on like what? They were way past Iron Man 3 at that point. Yeah, they were already on like phase 2 of what
and they've had this plan written on a billboard or drawing board for decades. So I mean, it's not like it just happened serendipitously. So I think that is why you see so many people compare Star Wars to Marvel or whatever to Marvel because everyone's trying to be Marvel in that way, and it seems like Star Wars included in a way. And also the other comparison is one, I mean, from just a business perspective, one overarching producer that's in charge of every property under that umbrella. So Marvel has Kevin Feige, and Star Wars has Kathleen Kennedy. So I think that
that's true. Yeah, they are similar in that way as well.
Content.
Yeah, and also they're similar in the sense that their characters are larger than the movies that they're in.
Oh, right, absolutely. They have a lot of panache to sell like toys and books and comics and whatever. And I mean, Marvel, if anything, is even more defined from a character standpoint because the characters are 60, 70 years old. And
the Marvel is 100%.
Into an hour and a half.
I would say that that was Marvel is 100% driven by just character recognition for sure. Because I mean, even like the movie like Ant-Man, it's much easier to put people in the seats when you know that you're going to have an entire part of your audience is coming just because they know that character from their childhood or from comic books or from so you can already pull half an audience just from that alone, and then people who don't know them are like, oh cool, another Marvel movie with a superhero in it, let me go see this.
Right,
so
you
it's
have
like
two big groups that you're drawing from, and most movies would pay to have just one. So I just think that it's that's the comparison more than like people aren't comparing the quality of the adventure or something like that when they talk about it.
Yeah, but that's true. But yeah, the deleted like you were saying, the deleted scenes, like a lot has been coming out now with these deleted scenes, and it's interesting because it feels like, and I can't wait to watch all the extra content. Like I'm obviously very excited to watch the movie again and again and again because like that's the best part of Star Wars is being able to like really dive deep into this universe. But what I'm really excited about is this extra stuff because it seems like it's really, really good. Like even I saw that there was a part where Luke like actually like we got to see him actually like mourn the loss of Han. Like actually like, you know, and I haven't watched it yet. Apparently, so I haven't watched. I think the only deleted scene I've watched so far was just the Phasma one.
Yeah,
with
me too.
Finn. That's the only one I've watched so far because I want to actually sit and watch it when I like on my own time when I can like really pay attention.
Right.
And so I haven't watched any other ones besides that one. But even that one, I went and watched it again. And it like, because I think last time we talked, I hadn't watched it yet.
No,
so I watched it again, and then I watched it like 4 more times because it was really freaking good, like really good. To the point where I was like,
because I think that's the consensus.
Why wasn't this in the movie?
A lot of people have been saying that. Like a lot of the really vocal haters of The Last Jedi are saying. Well, they're saying 2 things. One, they're saying, "Oh, good, that should have been in the movie. Why'd you ruin the movie?" And 2, I guess these featurettes will be a good roadmap on how not to make a movie. Just little snarky things. But to me, I actually, after having watched the Phasma scene, I like vastly prefer the movie, not the deleted scene. Like not
really?
Even not even close. And it's weird because I thought that was going to be a pretty common sentiment, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person I know who feels that way. So
who actually you prefer the movies? The movie.
Oh
the
yeah,
way the movie
and it's not even close. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's so funny.
I think that I don't know.
What is it about the movie that you like so much better?
It's not that I like the movie that much better. It's that I don't like the deleted one. I think the deleted one is.
What's about the deleted scene that you don't like?
Happen. I don't know. I don't like how she acts. I don't think that she acts in a very consistent way with what her character is, and I don't like how everyone around her reacts. And also, I don't know. Like it's cool because it shows that she can murk people, but like beyond that, I don't know. And I also like how Finn in the movie says "rebel scum" better than how he says it in the deleted scene. I think it's more dramatic and more exciting. And obviously, it's cheesy, but I like his delivery of the line in the movie.
That's true. I feel like in the movie it was more, at least, like powerful, the line itself. But like in the deleted scene, I think what I liked about the deleted scene more than anything, and I'm always tend to be the only one who thinks this way, but it's just my dark side brain always like trying to connect things back to the Empire. But like when I saw that deleted scene, my immediate thing was I liked it because now we got a little bit better. Because the one thing that there's many things that we don't get to know in The Last Jedi, but the one big thing for me that we don't get to know in The Last Jedi is why Snoke is doing any of the things that he's doing. Like, we don't have no clue as to, and I'm not saying that this scene answers that, because it definitely doesn't. But what it does for me is it gives us an answer to the rank and file of this new order. Like when it came to the Empire, there's this whole comparison between the First Order and the Empire. And at first look, I was one of those people who thought the same thing, that the First Order was was superior to the Empire because they had all this military might. They seemed like they were a much more trained fighting force. Plus, they recruited from when these people were children, so they kind of indoctrinated them into this system. But then when I really thought about it, I thought to myself, Palpatine would have murdered everybody.
Right,
if somebody would have told him, if somebody would have told Palpatine, listen, we can't shoot down this ship because our ship's too big and we can't quite get to that one, he would have been like, are you kidding me? Right. Kill everybody. I don't know. Even the simple thing where Snoke, they're hunting down these people, I was talking about it with Kylo, and his comparison to these other bad guys. If Vader would have come back from a mission and told Palpatine, hey, listen, I got in a fight with one of the guys you were looking for, and even though he wasn't a Force user or this and that, he still lived through it and he managed not to die. And then the other girl you were looking for, she somehow bested me and now I'm back, so I don't know what to do. Palpatine would have lost his crap because Vader or Maul or Dooku would have never have let that happen.
Right.
Not at all. So
yeah, I think that part of it might be Snoke like playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Like he
That's
anticipates losing BB-8, so like he's not mad when it happens, for example.
Right.
But I do think that like the death squads are not intimidating compared to like Empire era death squads, like the traitor hunters and things like that.
Yes,
are just
exactly.
weak sauce. But the regular grunts are more intimidating than the regular grunts of the Empire. So,
right. And I think what this scene showed us. Yeah, exactly. And I think what this scene showed us, and I will say that like the Empire was much more organized. And I mean that's just because that was Palpatine. Right. That wasn't. That's just how Palpatine. It was all about
symbolically intimidating people.
Exactly.
And
having
looking like a huge army, you know.
Exactly.
Whereas they might be.
And that was partly his weakness, was that, you know, part of Palpatine's weakness was that it was for show. Like when it came to the meat of it, like, you know, there was, once you started to get to it, it could be broken down easily, but it was making a big show of things. But what that scene showed me more than anything was that, like, we saw these troopers have doubt about the order that they belong to.
Yeah.
And that was interesting to me because I was like, all right, well, now we get to see a little bit more of things, where before we just thought, like, all right, these guys are the only ones to ever think.
We've seen people, like, antsy around Kylo Ren. We've seen people, like, you know, not sure whether they should listen to Hux or Kylo Ren. Like, we've already seen people not be, like, totally stepped into line. The thing I didn't like about it is that not only did it show that, but they're like there with Phasma, so presumably they're Phasma's squad, and they're ready to totally like question her, which is just not what would happen. Like that's just inaccurate. Right. And B, they're not intimidated at all by her. Like there's if that were like Vader's stormtroopers, and someone said, "Oh, I wonder what the Emperor would have to say about you doing this, Vader," the stormtroopers wouldn't even flinch or look at each other or anything. They'd be like, "I don't care, that's Vader." Like, and I think that they would have done the same thing for Phasma. So I think that it's just not.
Well,
accurate.
see, that's the thing, is that I don't know. That's the thing, is that like when we watch these deleted scenes, and that's what's been happening a lot when I've seen them, is that they change the context of the movie. So you're right, in the context of the movie, the way it is without the deleted scenes, you're right, they wouldn't. Like, Phasma is clearly an extreme authority that has earned her the right to be able to be where she's at in the military, and it's clear that the other stormtroopers see her that way and kind of follow her in that way.
Right.
But in this scene, that whole idea kind of changes and kind of goes away, and it changes because, like I said, now you get this idea that the stormtroopers aren't really as in reverence of her, and they're like very quick, and it did seem quick, like they were quick to kind of be like, all right, you know, I don't know, this seems odd, I don't know if we should follow you, like
right, they're like, oh, this is entirely new information, guess I'll risk my life over it. Like, that's not how it works.
Exactly. So it's two things. One, it's like, because I can see it two ways, and I can play both sides of it and see it like on both sides, which is either one, this is like completely unrealistic and there's no way that these people would think to themselves like, all right, this is whatever. Or on the other end of it is maybe they're much like, there's a lot more dissent amongst the ranks than we realize is happening. And this is kind of our glimpse into that happening. But like you said,
I don't think so. I think it was just poor writing, and I'm glad they cut it.
Well, if you're going off of the movie itself, then you're right. It doesn't fit in. So that, you know, that made sense. But like I said, the deleted scenes on their own, and then if you like put them back into the movie, they change it. They change the movie completely. So like that's why they're interesting, and I'm really having fun watching them. Yeah. But they're not the movie. They're not like, there's a lot of people who want them to. Exactly, and you know, and you're right, because of, if all of a sudden all these people were like ready to question Phasma, say the movie stayed exactly as it was, but they put that deleted scene in and took that one out, then I would have been like, wait, what? Yeah. In the end, do I like the deleted scene better than the scene in the movie? Yeah. But do I think that deleted scene should be in the movie as the movie is? No. Like, you would have to you'd have to redo the movie to fit that scene again because it doesn't fit the scene the way
and I think that's my issue with it. That's why I don't like it overall, is that it's just not the movie. It's not Star Wars-y to me either, but that's a whole different argument. It's just not something I like very much, and I'm glad it's not in the movie. But I thought that was going to be a really common, feeling. And it's not. Like, people are like, oh, I can't believe they cut this. The actual scene's crap. And I just don't feel that way. I feel like the actual scene is at least a passable scene. And so I don't know. It was interesting to me. But that is the only deleted scene I've watched. So I'm excited to watch the rest of them, as well as the other featurettes. That's always interesting stuff. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. I always love the featurettes about the... the practical effects
and stuff.
Whenever, the commentary is always nice, but I love seeing the way, like, my favorite part of any, like, whatever movie, any movie that I really get into, so, like, when we buy the special editions of, like, the Harry Potter and stuff like that, like, my favorite part is, like, the set design, the costume design, like, how they make the monsters, and how they do all the practical stuff to, like, make it even more real. And as much as this movie had, like, it's whatever, there were a lot of practical effects in it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was a ton.
Which was really cool. I mean, it was a really great movie. Especially, I would really like to see more about the design on Octo and how just their thinking of how they were gonna like make Luke, because it really seemed like he went back to like this ancient temple. And, it'll just be really cool to see how each world... I love watching that, how they build each world individually. And like, they put very specific... Nothing's there by accident. Like, everything is there.
Actually, that's one of the things I wanted to mention, is that there's an Easter egg at the beginning of The Last Jedi in the scene where they're dropping bombs from the bombers onto the dreadnoughts. One of the bombs has written in... I don't know what the font is called, but the Star Wars font with all those characters. Yeah. It says Han says hi, like on the bomb, which is pretty cool.
Freaking awesome.
Because, the U.S. has a history of writing messages for their bomb recipients on their bombs. So it's, plus, Han, obviously, and how he died as a hero and all that. So I think it was pretty cool. I did not know that or notice it until literally today I saw a picture of it. So that's a pretty cool Easter egg.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
I saw it on this article. Someone tagged me in an article on Facebook that I'm going to post to the Talking Sith page after tonight. But it's I don't know if it's like an Imager or Reddit or something, but it's a thread of a bunch of concept art from this Battlefront game, and it's got like 157 pictures or something like that. But some of them are really, really cool, and I wanted to. If I hadn't found out about them like 5 minutes before our episode, I wanted to talk about it. But we'll have to. I'll post it this week, and then maybe you can look at it and we can talk about it next week, because some of the images are characters that didn't make it into the game, and I want to know out of those characters, who you would have wanted to see or something. But they're really cool, and a lot of them are characters that already exist in the Star Wars universe, but reimagined as the opposite version of themselves. So, for example, there's Dark Obi-Wan, or Light Dooku.
That's awesome.
Or redeemed Vader. Or there's a dark version of Mace Windu, stuff like that. So it's there's a light version of Darth Maul.
I want to see really badly. That would be freaking awesome.
It's really, really cool, and I think it's a little bit.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's like an Emperor version of Vader, where like it's an alternate story where he killed Padme intentionally out of anger, and then killed the Emperor and like took the throne. And it's crazy, So it's some of it's like
freaking cool.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too ambitious for a game like this, where it's it's got to please the masses.
I was like, how would any of those
fit
into
it's got to unless they're gonna. I don't know what they could do, but a lot of it's cool. Some of it's like light side Dooku, and he looks a lot like Qui-Gon. It's really interesting. So shout out to Dave Pinto for for tagging me on Facebook, and I'll share it to the Talking Sith Facebook page tonight if anyone wants to look through it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. But I would interested in how that would even fit into this game, because
I'm sure that's why it's not there. But
yeah, because this game seems much more like realistic. It's not realistic, but it seems like
cookie cutter. It's really it doesn't rock the boat at all. It really like it's not I don't know, ambitious in that way. Like there's ways where technically it's like a technically sound game, but it doesn't like
and even then waves. It's not even anything.
It's not right. It's not crazy. It's just a big map.
Yeah, out of the ordinary. Yeah, the maps are nicely sized and they're pretty well designed and they're and they're good looking. They look nice. They're nice.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like ambitious Star Wars games, you'd have to go. I mean, KOTOR obviously.
KOTOR is the most ambitious.
Ridiculous,
Star Wars
and then even Force Unleashed has
a lot
of stuff that is like, oh my god, really?
And Jedi Academy.
Really. There's been a lot, but none of them are going to have the Battlefront name on them. So if nothing else, it was really interesting to look at. And like I said, I'll send it to the Talking Sith tonight, and maybe over the course of the next week, you'll get a chance to poke through it, and that'll give us a chance to talk about it.
I always think that's such an interesting concept of like when you think about characters and like because we all like with most of the characters that we know at this point, we know their beginning, middle, and end for the most part.
It changes
most characters have wrapped up their storyline at this point.
Oh yeah, half of them are dead.
Oh, exactly. So it'd be interesting to see like some of those characters if they didn't die, or if something had happened where they killed this person instead of that person killing them, and then it changes their trajectory as far as like I always thought it would be so interesting to see a Vader who didn't succumb to Palpatine.
And that's what the redeemed one it was. It was cool. And it was actually really cool because it had Luke having gone dark and Vader switching to light. And one of the pictures was like light Vader holding dead dark Luke, like holding him in his arms.
What? Oh my god,
dude, it's pretty cool. I'll be honest.
Reimagining of the story that would.
Yeah, a lot of it's really neat.
Like a dark side Luke taking on like a redeemed light side Vader who had like, wow, that would be really
cool. I'll like I said, I'll post it tonight. Take a look at it. And we can talk about it next week.
A dark, definitely.
And some of it's like concept art for fights. The Dark Obi-Wan looked awesome.
Like a dark
it had
Obi-Wan
old like Alec
awesome,
Guinness style. It had Ewan McGregor style. It was really cool.
Yeah, man. Like if you think to yourself, like, all right, so after the Jedi got, Order 66 got put through, he didn't like stick to that whole Jedi. He like lost it, and he's like, oh man, fine, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life, trying to destroy the Sith or whatever, and like turns to a dark side just through that ambition. That would be crazy to see a freaking dark, because he's already so strong.
It's pretty crazy.
Man,
it's neat.
That's really cool.
Some of it's art for like standard video game concept art, like maps or set pieces like Yoda fighting Darth Vader or whatever. But a lot of it was totally out of left field. So I was really kind of blown away by the size of the dump. I don't know if it's leak or just a photo dump or what, but either way, there's a ton of it there, and B, the content of it is really interesting and not what maybe you would expect. So I'll post it to the Talking Sith Facebook page. Feel free to share it around, and like I said, read it yourself. And next week we can talk about it because it was really cool.
Yeah, I want to check it out because that's interesting. Because I wonder, like, I don't know. Speaking of Battlefront 2, I don't know quite honestly, guys. How much longer our format for Talking Sith is going to stay the way it is, where we basically kind of talk and play some Star Wars Battlefront 2, only because this game, it's not necessarily dying. It's not dead.
No, they just got to give us some content.
It's just, there's nothing going on with it, and it's frustrating because I subscribe to this show on YouTube, Star Wars HQ.
Yeah.
And they're pretty good, but they have this terrible habit, and not necessarily habit, and I understand it because I do think they are endorsed by Star Wars.
They are, yeah.
Or Lucasfilm. So I don't think they can say anything, which I understand. But it's very frustrating because this game has flaws, and it's easy to see, and especially with games out right now that are doing really well because of their business model specifically, it makes this game even much more difficult to deal with. And not only that, but like, once again, I think I wasn't the only one who was genuinely confused about the progression system when it came out.
Oh yeah, no, I certainly was.
And once I started getting on forums and realizing I wasn't the only one who was like massively confused by it, because like we've already said before, like I wasn't aware that like, you know, we all said it, like, man, I've been working on this character for like, you know, like a couple weeks now, and I'm not ranking up, like nothing's like happening.
Yeah, and then the way you have to buy cards and use the cards, and the way you can,
it was so
it just didn't make sense. It was so very weird, and just the lack of content. I mean, I know every time we talk about it, like, well, the game's only been out 3 months. Okay, it's only been out 4 months. And I mean, we can keep saying that, but at some point they got to give us a map or a character or something.
They got to do something.
But I just don't know.
I was hoping that when you said that they did a dump, I was like, oh, all right, cool, they did a dump. But then when you said what was in it, I'm like, oh, well, they're never going to put any of that in.
Yeah, none of it is stuff that I would see. There was like a light version of a Sorry Ventress. Like, none of that's going to show up in the game.
Oh, God. So, yeah, like, that's just random crap that like,
it was really cool, but it's just unrealistic. Some people don't even know who
Asajj Ventress is. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's stuff that'll never show up in the game. That's
right. So I just don't know what to expect anymore. I wonder if we'll get stuff from Solo or what, but I really do feel like the strong points of this game are great, but the overall, the last Battlefront to me was just much more of a Star Wars experience. This is just like a throwaway
so funny
shooter.
because people, like, even me, like, I had so many issues with the first Star Wars, like, where I was like, all right, guys, but I think what the issue was is that when we were talking about this one, as we started learning more about it, the one thing we kept saying was, all right, this loot crate system and like the whatever system or whatever, it seems a little odd, but other than that, all right, characters, yeah, you're talking about putting out good characters, cool, and it's going to be like on this basis where it's like, it's you know, you can do the microchip. Okay, so we're going to buy characters, cool. Like, all right, you guys are going to put more maps in it, awesome. Oh, it's going to be all 3 eras, even cooler. So like everything they kept saying was like, oh, this is going to be the Battlefront that we used to have,
right?
You know, for PS2. But then we got the game and it was like, wait, what? And then I was like, all right, well, fine, we just got it, now they're going to update it and give us more content, because that's just how games work nowadays. It's not like before when you got everything at once. Now you got to wait. Yeah. So I was like, all right, that's
fine.
If
they had done a season pass, maybe.
And I just and I'm thinking, like, how like they did the season with Phasma and Finn, and it's been forever since they've done another one. And the only reason why I say it feels like it's been forever is because I play games like Overwatch and Fortnite and For Honor and like kind of more competitive games like that, even like Battlefield and Call of Duty, like, and those games have content extremely regularly, like,
right, at least every 4 months.
At least every 4 months. It's so regular that even games like GTA 5 has been out for, I don't even know how many years now.
Yeah.
It's been out for years now. And yet, literally every week they have an update. Like, every week there's an update with something. And obviously Rockstar and EA are not even close to the same company. And I understand
look at things like... but EA is the publisher of a lot of those games, like Battlefield, or like the other day I was playing Rock Band 4 and for the first time in I don't know how long.
Yeah, geez.
And Rock Band 4 gets songs and content and updates every week. Like,
so what is it about Battlefront 2 that it just isn't getting, or maybe we're just being
It's that
impatient.
we didn't pay for a season pass. That's what it is.
Yeah,
if we had paid for a season pass, we could expect content
and
every
we said
2 or 3
that.
months.
You said that specifically. You specifically said that, but we had talked about that on this show. Like, we figured a season pass was going to be a better situation because we knew we would have.
I would take a season pass every day of the week over this model. And it's not just because I'm cynical and I know EA doesn't care about us as people, but it's because I like to get what I pay for, and I like to pay for what I get. So, like, I'm not one of those people that'll download an album or download a movie or an episode of a show or whatever. I'll pay out of pocket 100 times if, you know, I don't care. So I'd rather buy a game and buy my content for the game. Yeah, would I like to go back to the glory days of buying one game one time and that's all? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But at the same time,
the games are bigger now.
The games are huge. The back in the day, like, you see memes and stuff where it's like, oh, you buy the buns and that's the game, but if you want the meat, that's the DLC, and then you gotta buy the skins to get the lettuce or whatever, and that's just not how games used to be. Like, you didn't buy a burger back in the day when you bought games. You bought like a ham sandwich and you liked it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It wasn't a burger
now.
back then. It was basically like a grilled cheese, you know.
Right,
like,
to be nostalgic for that's great. And some of the games obviously stick with you forever because of how big they were or how special they were, like KOTOR or whatever. But or Battlefront 2. But it's not the same thing. So I don't think you're going back to that ever. And you would be mad if you did, because the game would be tiny like this game. Like, if we played this game 15 years ago, we would be stoked. But because it is what it is, and you know that you don't have to settle for that.
Oh my god, if this game came out 15 years ago, it would have been literally the best game of all time.
Right.
Like,
so you just have to keep that in
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, Halo
exactly.
really redefined it, but nowadays you can't put that much information on one disc. You have to download most of it, and it's just a different situation. Yeah. And I don't think people recognize that. I think that I would rather buy a game and then the season pass. Like I said, every time. And once in a while you'll get an outlier like Fortnite where you don't pay for anything unless you want skins. Yeah. But overall, I'd rather buy, like, if I was into Call of Duty, I would have no problem spending $60 in the game and then $20 in the season pass every year. Zero. Yeah. I wouldn't have any questions about that. Back in the day, you had to buy, like, StarCraft, and then if you wanted StarCraft expansions, you had to buy a whole other StarCraft. So, I mean, and it wasn't different. It was just, like, a couple extra stories.
No, it wasn't. I mean, no, it was just more.
We don't have that anymore, and I think people don't think that way. And it's weird, but I would rather buy a game and then a season pass every day of the week, and because then you're paying for it. So if you want to be upset after you paid for it, like, be my guest. But, like, you don't see people who bought Call of Duty season passes upset that they bought season passes for Call of Duty. They're upset at Call of Duty maybe, but the reason they're upset isn't that they bought a season pass. So I just think that if you want content, pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, then don't complain about it. And if you don't want to play it, then don't play it. Like, it's not that difficult.
I think it's time. Yeah, that's true, and I think it has a lot to do with, like you said, like the fact that with this game, we didn't do that. There were no season passes, so we're not getting the content. And the issue is that there were a lot of people who joined the Salt train when the game came out, and instead of playing the game and trying the game and then saying, all right, there are these things wrong with the game, but because everyone I know who actually has played this game says the same thing. The progression system's a little bit confusing, and I wasn't too happy when I found out about the microtransactions, but once they took away the microtransactions and I just played the game, I liked the gameplay. I enjoy the game itself. I just don't, the progression, every single person I talk to says the same thing. The game itself is fun, but the progression system, once you leave the actual gameplay and you go back to the menus and things like that, then all of a sudden you can see the holes in the game, like where the game doesn't shine. Like, the game is, like, Battlefront 2 is at its best when you're just playing, when you're in the game, when you're shooting stuff, when you're running around,
it's a blast.
when there's, like, TIE fighters flying overhead, when there's droids running around, when you're in the universe of Star Wars and you're enjoying it, then it's really fun. It's a good game. But the minute it ends and you have to go back to a menu, you remember how annoying it is, because you can't pick what level you want, you can't pick, like, whatever you want, you can't do this, you can't, like, so it's like, it has these things about it that really do irritate you, but it is a good game. So that's why, and like you said, the unfortunate part is that before people really got their hands on it, they immediately went to this whole, because this is how the internet works, I'm not going to buy it because EA did this, that, and this, and that, and the other. So people who might have gotten the game didn't, all because of he said, she said stuff. And I still talk to people now who are like, oh, well, I'm not going to get it because microtransactions. That is not in the game. Yet it hasn't
and the other
been
thing
in the
is,
game
like,
since
there are
launch.
plenty of games out there that have season passes and microtransactions. Like, there's like tons of them. In fact, most of them. Yep. You can buy a season pass for the game and then go buy points to level up your character more quickly,
to get
too.
this and to get that.
So
exactly.
it's not like it's a new thing to have microtransactions. Star Wars Battlefront certainly didn't invent it. And when people started saying we don't want that, they stopped having it. So I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so there's no argument
could
for
have
that
been done
anymore.
differently from a microtransaction standpoint. The only mistake they made, in my estimation, is replacing a season pass with microtransactions. But because most games have both. Like every other game out there has both season passes and microtransactions, and this game should have done either both or just the season pass. It should not have done just the micros, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so, like, now the thing is Battlefront 2 is that we're in this situation where we didn't pay for the content because we didn't have season passes. So we can't really complain because we're not getting stuff, but those people who are still playing are upset because we're not still getting stuff. But, you know, like we just said, we didn't pay for it yet. So if we don't get anything, we can't really be too upset about it because all we paid for is, you know, what we've gotten at this point. Yeah. So that's and if
they had told us you're gonna get a new map every 3 months or 3 new maps and 4 new characters, then everyone would have signed up and paid $30 for a season pass, probably more than that. So I don't know why why it became an issue, but it is it's different from
so as far as Star Wars Battlefront 2 goes, I'm thinking that if they're gonna drop content anytime soon, it's got to be coinciding with the Han Solo movie. Like that's the only thing that I can think that
or the Blu-ray release of Last Jedi. But if they were going to do that, we probably would have heard about it by now.
Then they would have announced it already. They would have said, "Hey, this is coming," because it's this month. So why would you wait till like the week before to do it? Like I don't. So like they have to. It's got to be something with the Han Solo movie. If nothing comes out alongside of that, I would put money on Battlefront 2. Basically, EA saying,
if it's not Han Solo, it's done.
Yeah, if they don't put anything out with Han Solo, EA is saying, you guys can play what we've given you. We may put out like this or that here, you know, do updates to it to make sure it stays running, but we're not going to put anything else into it.
Right.
And that also may just have something to do with the fact that Disney is looking at other people to make Star Wars games.
No, I think it just has to do that no one paid for it.
Who knows?
It's just like Mass Effect.
Really what it is.
It's, you know...
There's no money. Yeah, there's no money to put back into it.
What's the point?
You know, they paid.
No one's going out to buy Battlefront right now because, and the other thing is Battlefront's reputation is so ruined that if they said, all right, we're coming out with 6 new maps and we're putting Battlefront on sale for $20 off, so everyone should go out and buy it because they're going to get all these maps for free. No one's going to go out and buy it, so they're not going to make anything for it unless they do for Solo because Solo, you know. They might have already had the characters mapped and stuff like that. Then there'd be no reason not to. But right now, there's no reason to hire somebody to go into the office and make a character.
Yeah, I could see them already having the characters good to go for The Last Jedi, which we already saw.
Right.
You know, with Finn and Phasma and stuff, and then with the Solo movie, and that's it. Like I could see them having already had those two movies done, because you know all of that was kind of in production at the same time, but. Anything after that, I couldn't really see them unless they're going to be putting, you know, still working on it, which I don't think I can see them doing. So, like I said, if we don't see anything at all for Han Solo, then they're done. If we do see something, I'm almost betting that might be some of the last content we do see.
Right. The only exception would be if they don't come out with another Battlefront before the next Star Wars movie, we'd get something in line with that. But I agree. Yeah. I think that if they're going to start doing Battlefront yearly or bi-yearly, then we won't see anything else because the next Star Wars movie would be after the next Battlefront.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm thinking is I think that's probably, if they're having any discussion about what's going on in the video game world of Star Wars, that's probably a big discussion right now in Lucasfilm and Disney, and if they're going to continue with the Battlefront series, or if they're going to... I genuinely want to see them, like, because I don't understand it. I don't get how we haven't had, at some point in time, some RPG open world.
Well, there's still the Old Republic. It still comes out with content. People still play it. It's just... It's an online game, so it's a little bit different. But the problem is that it's not that console.
Polished. Like, the game is...
Well, I mean, it is. It's just not console. I mean, I haven't really encountered very many people who play that game and don't like it. I just haven't encountered very many people who play that game because it's not console. They got to do something for the console people if they want to, if they care. They don't have to care. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Like, if they care, they should just start up LucasArts again. And
yeah, that's very true.
I don't think
that'll never happen.
But Disney should have like a Disney interactive Disney video games division where that's what they do.
After we had talked about that last week, I wondered to myself, and I should do more research on it, so I'm not like just thinking stupid things. But I wondered to myself if the reason they don't do that is because of some sort of monopoly law. Like, I wonder if there's some sort of like
definitely not. I think if anything, it's because they sold the rights and can't get them back. I think when LucasArts disbanded, EA got a huge chunk of that pie, and I'm sure that when Disney Interactive disbanded, somebody somebody might own the rights to making a Star Wars video game right now that isn't Disney or Lucas. They might just have to okay it. And especially games that were already in production, like the Darth Maul game, or Battlefront 3, or
what
whatever.
Was the name of that?
So
the one where they're in the prison or whatever.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of legal reasons I think that could exist that would have nothing to do with them not being able to, in terms of like a monopoly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true.
EA has monopolies
I was just thinking
football
like
or soccer. I mean, they don't technically have soccer, but they should. And then Sony's got the only baseball game out there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I was thinking that if Disney started their own interactive studio with video games, I was just thinking maybe they wouldn't be able to do it because then they would have. Then they would own the rights and the whatever and all this whatever content for
people do that
games,
all the time.
Movies.
Rockstar does that. Rockstar does their own publishing and developing. So I mean, it's just it might be that, like I said, that their properties are owned by people that aren't them. Because you got to remember, like when Marvel wasn't owned by Disney, Sega owned the rights to Marvel games.
Oh, that's right.
Iron Man was made by Sega. And then you have the Ultimate Alliance games. You've got the whole mess with like Sony owning Spider-Man. Well, not anymore, but Sony having owned Spider-Man.
Well, that's why we thought we would never see another Marvel vs. Capcom because all of the all the licensing agreements.
Well, you'll see a Marvel vs. Capcom, but you won't see the X-Men in it, which is what we got out of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So it's just there's too many video game properties that if you wanted to make an all-inclusive game universe, you couldn't. I mean, you couldn't make a game right now and have the X-Men and Spider-Man and Captain America and Iron Man all on screen at the same time. It would be, unless it was like a Lego game. So there's too many.
Which is odd because I'm like, Lego's the only one who seems to be able to get away with that. Which makes me wonder what TT Games. Like, I wonder if TT Games just
Lego bought the rights to it years ago. No.
Is that what it is?
Lego owned the stories 20 years ago. So I mean,
really,
it's all really complicated, and it's way above my pay grade.
It is super complicated. But, I don't understand any of it because I always wondered that. I'm like, how is Lego able? Because Lego makes stuff for everything that comes out. Lego is able to make. And it doesn't matter what universe it's in.
It just can't be toy-based.
It could be in DC, it could be in Marvel, it could be whatever. Yeah, that's true. It's never toy-based.
It can't be. It can't be like Lego Dimensions. Can't have Marvel in it.
That's what I saw too. Like Lego Dimensions was very specific about what characters.
But that's because Disney owned Disney Infinity, which was a toy-based game.
Oh, that's right. So oh my god, it must be so complicated, man. I would hate to be a lawyer for any one of these companies.
Well, I mean, I'd like to be a lawyer for the money.
Oh god, I'd love to be. Yeah, but just trying to figure that stuff out must be so such a headache. Because I'm like, how do you know who actually owns what and who can make what? Because like I said, it's all so confusing because there are Marvel Lego games, but there's no Lego characters in
it's all about your wallet. None of it is creativity based. And if you wanted to make if you as a Star Wars fan said, "Oh my God, I have the best idea ever for a script," and you wrote a script for a Star Wars game and you went out to make it, you couldn't. And it's because somebody else reserves that right, and
of course.
But
it's because those properties don't belong to you, and I mean I understand
but those
that,
fandoms are the ones that get shafted. Like if every time a new Ninja Turtles movie comes out, I just
I feel
like,
so
let
bad.
me write it. Like, just let me do it. But it's never gonna happen. Right? Obviously, it's just it's the same thing for games and.
Yeah, and it's a shame because like I said, like Star Wars lies in its like the really beautiful thing about Star Wars lies in the worlds, in the vastness of the universe itself, and it's so big and there's so many things that you could draw out of it that I just feel like video games are probably one of the most brilliant ways to explore something. Like you don't really get to explore a universe or a world quite like you get to do it in a video game, or like reading or watching a movie, or like each of those experiences are extremely unique and they're amazing, but video games are like, to me, one of the most unique ways to, because it's an extremely interactive experience and you're like basically as close to there as you can get.
Right.
And Star Wars, it just seems to me it's like it's a given. Like it's such an immersive world that you would think like, all right, we should be you could pump out a video game every year about a completely different aspect of the Star Wars world and change the, like you could make one year make a shooter, the next year make an RPG, the next year make like an MMORPG where it's like this online crazy thing. Like you could make a different game with a different storyline every other day for Star Wars and never run out of content. And it just seems so surprising to me that at this point, like, we haven't had another KOTOR. You know, not another KOTOR in the sense that another Knights of the Old Republic, but just another game like that, where it's so immersive and there's so much lore behind it and so many new, amazing characters that you don't get to see in books or anything else. And, like, you know, like Darth Revan and all these other characters that you just, like, you wouldn't even care about unless, like, you know, unless you got these, you know, side stories in video games, you know. Right. So it's just kind of like, or even things like, you know, like even silly stuff like the pod racing game that was just like such a random game, but it was so much fun. You know what I mean? So it's like, well, it was hard to drive us in, but like, you know what I mean? It was like, it'd be just interesting to get something like that again, where if it's like all of a sudden they were like, oh, you know, here's this little mini game. Like if they had like a little mini pod racing game in like one of the games that comes out, like, how fun would that be? Like, it's just simple stuff like that where it's like, man, I just can't believe, like, Star Wars is this brilliantly beautiful universe. But I feel that same way about Harry Potter, and, you know, I still think it's weird that we haven't gotten, like, a Harry Potter game where you can, like, I don't know. It's odd. Like, to me, it just seems, like, weird that these, like,
name the universe. Harry Potter, Ninja Turtles should have an open world game. Like, there's a million games like that should exist, but they're properties are owned. So I mean, you have to be really creative, not only in create a world. I mean, a game for the world that already exists, but you have to create a world for that game to exist in, and that's why Rockstar can do what it does, because Grand Theft Auto is you know, autonomous, and so is, you know, Red Dead and everything else they can do. And BioWare too, with the exception of KOTOR. Is totally like that too. So I mean, it's different, but that's the world we live in.
But it would be nice. It'd be nice to see, because like I said, it's like this. I like shooters and I enjoy them, but they're not my favorite type of game. There's many other games out there that I like a lot better than a first-person shooter, and it seems to be like, because it's, you know, we have the blasters and, you know, it's Star Wars, and I don't know, we keep getting stuck on this whole, like, we need another Battlefront game. And I'm like, all right, I'm honestly at this point...
Well, the thing about Battlefront is that it's fun with friends. Like, the old school Battlefronts from when we were kids were, you know, what they were. Because
but at this point, I'd rather just pull out my PS2. Exactly. Like, when friends come over and just play the old Battlefront 2.
Battlefront, we don't get nostalgic for a Star Wars shooter. We get nostalgic for a fun game with your friends, and that's what...
Exactly.
They heard that we wanted a shooter, but what they missed is that we wanted a fun game with friends.
We wanted that shooter. We wanted the game that we used to play.
It's like Halo. Like, I don't want to play a new Halo. I do want to hook up my 360 and play Halo 3, but I don't want to play a new Halo. And but they don't get that.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Is that, like, Star Wars Battlefront? I want to play. I want to play just a newer version of the game that I used to play. But really, if I like at the end of the day, like I said, if my buddies are over, like, and we're drinking or something like that, and we want to play Battlefront 2, exactly, I'm hooking up the PS2, and we're gonna go back and play that one because that was the one that was
when Call of Duty comes out this year, if I buy it, the only reason I will is because it'll come with an HD remake of Modern Warfare 2. But like that,
oh yeah, when I heard that, I was like, oh, I'm probably gonna play Call of Duty again. I was like, that's worth
what
it
we
to
want.
Me.
But like, how many times will I play Pokemon Yellow? Every time they re-release it. So it's just. But at the same time, they have to bring in new audiences, and I get that too. It's just
which I understand for sure. But but like in Battlefronts, in the instance for Battlefront, it's like. Yeah, I understand you need to bring new audiences, and that's fine. But I feel like you still have yet to get back to what made Battlefront good. Like, Battlefront 2 was really good for very specific reasons, and you haven't done all of those yet to bring back what made that game fun. In fact, like I said, I would rather go play Battlefront 2 for the PS2 with friends than play Battlefront 2, this one, with friends, because it was more fun. Like, there was more to do. There was just, and not only that, but like, because of what we've been saying all along, if you're gonna make a shooter for Star Wars, it 100% lies in the content. That's all it is. Like, all you have to do is put the characters in, put the maps in, put in like the little side stuff, and that's it. That's all. Like, and then just make sure that the guns point well and they're balanced decently, and that's it. Like, let players go crazy. Like, just as long as there's content, then you're fine. And that's what Star Wars Battlefront 2 from back then just did perfectly. There was more than enough to do. There was more than enough characters to play with, especially for games back then. It was like, oh man, this is a lot of characters. And then I remember you could just go into, when you would go into kind of custom mode, when you would set and you could pick your own play mode. You literally would just pick map after map after map. Like, there were so many maps that you could just line it up to play for hours. And you would. Like, I remember playing for legitimately hours. And that's the thing, is that, like, I've never had that same feeling. And I understand that it's just a nostalgic thing at this point, somewhat. But I've never had that same feeling with this game. And I know that it's not just 100% nostalgia, because there are games that are new that I do feel like that about. Like, I'll play and I'm like, oh man, this is really good. I'm really enjoying this. I could see myself coming back to this game years later from now. Star Wars Battlefront.
I mean, the last Battlefront to me was closer to that than this one is. It wasn't that, but it was way closer.
Oh yeah, much closer than this one, and that's unfortunate because, like I said, the game is fun. It's just there's just too many cracks in the wall, unfortunately, that makes it not. It just doesn't stand up as well as the one from 2015, and definitely doesn't stand up as well as the one from PS2 days and back then. So, but yeah, guys, let us know what you think. Which iteration of Star Wars Battlefront did you enjoy the most? Was it the first one, Battlefront 2? For PS2, Battlefront from 2015, or this one? Do you like, out of all the Star Wars games, which one is your favorite? We talk about KOTOR a lot on this show, because if you've played it, then you understand why we talk about it a lot on this show. But if you do have a favorite one that's not KOTOR, I'd like to know why it is and how it beats out Star Wars Battlefront 2 if it does do that for
Jedi
you. But yeah, guys. Yeah, Jedi Outcast, that game was really fun. But yeah, guys, let us know what you think, and as always, you can find us at the various social medias at Talking Sith.
Check us out on Facebook tonight, and you'll see some radical.
Yeah, check out Facebook tonight. I'm gonna check out the Facebook tonight because I really want to see what you're talking about. That sounds really cool. I'm like super jazzed about this dark side Obi-Wan. Like, that's really getting me excited in my gear. So let me know what you guys think. Oh, not only that, I know this is not the show for this, and I don't really care because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. You saw the trailer. Are you the one who posted it? I can't remember who posted it.
I did post it. I legitimately shed a tear. That trailer was just amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah, there was
so
really
good.
Not much.
There's so much I loved about it.
Yeah, so many little Easter eggs.
I could take another hour Oh
Great
yeah,
shots
I could
and
take
scenes,
another
yeah.
hour to like talk about the Harry Potter. But guys, if you haven't seen the Potter trailer for the new
Harry Trotter.
Fantastic Beasts, Harry Trotter, the
Harry
new
Trotter Paler.
Fantastic Beasts, and where to find them.
Yeah. The
This is the
Trials of
Grindelwald.
Grindelwald. Yeah.
Trials of Grindelwald. Yeah, that's this one. Check out the trailer. It is so freaking good.
Yeah,
If you're
it's
a
really
Harry Potter
cool.
fan, even a little bit,
Goosebumps for days.
Oh my god, dude! When I saw just seeing him standing at the desk,
Dude,
and you're like,
just Hogwarts, everything about it. It
was
got
like seeing
the
Hogwarts.
Thestrals,
Oh my gosh.
the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom, just every little detail was
was incredible.
Really cool.
That was incredible.
I'm very excited,
and seeing a young
and then
young
there's a Harry Potter
Dumbledore
mobile augmented reality game,
yes,
a la Pokemon Go, coming out as well.
Did you sign up yet?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah, me too.
Explore Hogwarts and have your own Harry Potter adventure and learn spells and interact with people. And
let's go Ravenclaw.
Yeah, and it's defined by, your what you do defines how your character progresses. So it is it's exciting.
So
I'm pretty excited.
From what I see so far, it's kind of going to be like this idea of like you obviously can pick your house. Or I don't know if you pick it or you get placed in it. I'm hoping
you get sorted, but I think you
get
to pick. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll more than likely get to pick because people are gonna want to be where they want to be. So and then from what my understanding is, obviously you're like looking for monsters, but you're also learning like spells and
you
like,
get to explore the castle. Yeah, there's a lot to do.
Oh man, it's gonna be really cool, and the fact that they're mixing it with this whole idea of the augmented reality thing, I'm just curious as to how the augmented reality is gonna play into the game itself. But I probably will play this more than I played Pokemon Go.
I will absolutely. Pokemon Go was really fun, and that was that. I played it for like 3 weeks maybe. So I know a lot of people that still play it, but I'm not one of them.
Yeah. Cough, cough, Andy.
Yeah, Andy and Haley.
Yeah. Andy and Haley. I still play not that much. I mean, I'll turn my phone on for randomly and be like, hey, is there a Pokemon around? Just because, whatever, I'm looking at my phone. But it's not like it was when it first came out. And honestly, it's such a grind. Like, Pokemon Go is such a grind, and it's such a real-world grind that I'm just like, listen, I don't mind grinding in a video game because I can sit and do it.
I've got a real
life.
But,
like, I don't want to have to literally walk around town for 14 hours to be able to get a Pokemon. Like, that's not fun for me. Like, that's too much grinding.
I'll walk around a digital town for 14 hours to hatch my egg. But
exactly. I'm not gonna do that in real life. No, thank you. That sounds like way too much work. But like the Harry Potter game, I don't know. Like from what it sounds like you can go about playing it in more than just one way. And Pokemon Go isn't like that at all. Like there's really just one way to play the game.
Yeah, and it's really boring. So I do think that it's not much of a game. It just is like a really cool concept, and it's only cool because it's Pokemon. Whereas Harry Potter, it's a game, and I think that's.
And I've stated that many times that if Pokemon Go was anything other than what it was, it would already be gone. But because it's Pokemon, it made it as far as it did. But that was only it because it started. Like people also forget that when the game launched, it was buggy as hell. Like it was extremely buggy. It barely worked. It crashed like all the time. They still haven't done everything they said they were going to do when the game first launched. And now and it took them a while to even get to this point. Like if it wasn't for the fact that you were catching Pokemon, the game wouldn't be anything like it was. Like it wouldn't even be close. Yeah. But Harry Potter, like I said, from what I've seen already, it looks very different, like I said, in the sense that there's more than one way to enjoy and play the game. No,
it's an actual video game,
Yeah, which is going to be awesome because that means you can sit at home with your friends or with people you love, whatever, and play the game. It's not like, all right, I need to leave my house to be able to enjoy this, which is I understand that that's part of the allure of Pokemon Go, but to the masses, unfortunately, that's just not appealing, especially when you live in New England and you can't leave the house in the wintertime to go play this game, or it's not always convenient to get up and go out somewhere to go play this. It'll be much nicer to get a Harry. Plus, it's freaking Harry Potter. I mean, come on. Like, I remember when the freaking app came out when you could do this, you could duel your friends with your phone.
Right.
I got to do the spells with the phone. Like, I don't care what it is. I'm always trying to get it, and Harry Potter is awesome, man. So I can't wait. But yeah, guys, sorry, that was like a weird little digression at the end there. But I like, there's so much Harry Potter stuff going on right now, and I'm such a big fan that I'm almost like considering making a Harry Potter channel to talk about, because I love it so much. That's how into it I am. But yeah, guys, let us know what you think. I'm excited for it. I'm sure you guys, if you're nerds like we are, I'm sure you're excited for the game and for the new movie as well. And you'll have to let us know more about that in the comments. But yeah, guys, we'll check you next week. We're running over, so we're going to get out of here. But yeah, we'll check you next week on Wednesday. I am Chaz, your host, and I'm joined by Adam every week. Thanks, man. I appreciate you helping me out as always.
Word. I'll see you next week.